Well, there it is. First day of July. If we pull that rain gauge up, that's how inaccurate the meteorologists are today. They predicted heavy rains. And here, if they call heavy rains a quarter inch, it's pathetic. If you want to know what fake news is, just watch the weather channels today. And they try to convince you that they're some kind of professional. It's the first day of July. The heat's on, not only on this guy, but on each and every one that's trying to grow something. We're going to have 1st of July weather in the 90s, very little rain. And that's why it's really essential to go with a lot of perennials in your food plot. Because with these fictitious blends that people yak about, if you don't have the rain and timely rains in the summer for an annual, you ain't going to get anything for your labor, because without rain you don't make grain. And we're going to get into a real dry period here. We're going to venture up here and just see what the corn looks like. There's the beans. They're 11 inches tall, right at 11 inches tall on the first day of July. My neighbors are the same height. So let's venture over to the corn. Well, as you can see, this tape measure, it's a 6-foot ruler, and there's the top of the corn. So we got 6-foot tall corn for the most part on the 4th of July as we wander out through here. And the weed control is pretty darn good. If we look down through these rows, canopied out now. We can just get a few more rains before it goes into tasseling, we'll be alright. But to grow corn like that, that now is 60 days old. That's what you're looking at in that field. It's a 60-day-year-old crop. And we didn't have too much rain in June down here. Maybe 3 inches at the most, and it was pretty sporadic. And that's the risk you take in planting summertime food plots. The beans are really doing well. Like I say, for the most part, we'll put that down there. That's tenths. We're right at 11 inches on the first day of July. And this was our experimental, where we took the 36-inch planter, split the rows, and it looked like it did pretty good. My neighbor, he got 15-inch rows where he drilled them in, and this is compatible. You just gotta use what you own. And what you see right here, this is sterile disking. We went in between the corn last weekend. I didn't get it on video because I was chasing my tail as fast as I could go. But we got that opened up and open-faced, and the erosion is pretty well controlled. I know it's bare-faced dirt, but what we'll do is we'll come in here and plant this with a late fall, winter type seed. The corn on both sides with that strip up the middle acts as a real good screen. Now when you're doing this, you've got to think ahead. I didn't plant this, and I didn't put any type of herbicide, group 15 herbicide, which might have some carryover effect, because if you do, then you might get minimal results if you get any. So you got to really be planning ahead when you do strips like this, so that you don't put a group 15 herbicide and then have trouble getting anything to germinate in the near future. Sometimes it takes 10 to 11 months before you can get that. That's why it's real critical to get that herbicide put on in that opportune window, because if not, then you would just have to come in and plant later in the spring because you have some residual carryover. So this was left unplanted and had no herbicide on it. And that way I'll just keep, as I've done in the past, they call it sterile disking, and keep knocking out the weeds as they regrow. And then when it comes time to plant, I won't need to use a Roundup product. I'll have the weeds under control, and I can get that planted in one given day per se. Now I'll probably disc that 2 more times in July. I'll let the weeds, you can see some of them right here missed, but you want to keep disking them. And I know some people say you're drying the soil out, but it's just another way of not using any more herbicide on your property than you have to. Now here's where we turkey hunted the last couple of days of the turkey season. I had those Christmas trees and I had the blind setting up in the middle. Well, we got some time-lapse photography of how this corn grew, and it didn't fart around once it got growing, because like I say, right here in between this artificial tree and this one, we had the blind sitting in here, and now that's your view, and you'll notice several deer coming through there. But on the 12th of June you could see the deer in the corn, but you won't see them in there now. Oh, by the way, that blister and that one, I thought I'm pretty tough with a shovel or a rake in my hand most of the summer, but that was put there by the hoe handle. It should have been wearing gloves. Now I have a situation where it's, but you notice I've got the beans back here and they haven't been browsed on, which is good. But we also didn't put a class 15 herbicide back in here because we'll see how these beans turn out, and if not, we got all this area we'll put a fall annual in. And I didn't take this heavy grass out because it was cover for the rabbits and turkeys with their eggs. Poults still had a place to hide. So we'll venture on back here, and like I say, this is the first day of July 2020, and I want to show you the benefit of having a proven perennial in your food plot scheme. Well, picture's worth 1,000 words. Look at that clover. Now, I'm in a dilemma right now because I'll walk over here. You can see that clover is 10 inches tall, and here's the field that we used absolutely no broadleaf or grass herbicide. But you can see it's all bloomed out. But my situation where I'm at is it's supposed to get hot and dry, and I'm not really too sure whether I want to get in here and crop this top off because it can really put a shock on it. And here again, when you're up there, if you run across a clump of freeloaders, you can eradicate them. Well, I guess I didn't get them all. They had pretty deep roots there, but for the most part, it's pretty weed free. This is why it's really essential to have good perennials growing for you, because it's highly drought resistant, and if you turn into really hot in July, and no rain, your annuals can suffer dramatically. I couldn't get it out a couple years ago, but it's got some weeds growing on it, and it's time to hand pull them out of there, because all that seed will just be spread out onto your field, which won't do you any good. So now is the time to take it in your hands. They come out pretty easy. You see, I got all that seed bank right there. Can go over here in the bush. And that's just planning ahead. You've got always something to do in food plotting, especially with those broadleaf weeds, because they can take over a plot once they go to seed, and you don't need them to do that. So you need to get them out. And there again, all this is done without the use of herbicide. Now we look at that stump there, and we just got rid of weed seed makers, and didn't have to spray anything on it. Now, some of you people are going to say, if I had your time, well, ladies and gentlemen, if you've already had my work schedule that I've done today, and it ain't even noon yet, these boots do a lot of walking. Yeah, as I stand here with a tremendous potential crop of field corn, I want to make one thing clear. I've already won the hunting scenario by having the germination in 30 days or 60 days of that. I took the initiative, spent the money, and I don't want that to take the place of my woodsmanship skills and hunting. I don't want to label that as a kill plot. I don't want to go out. That's the first step to failure. If you think you're going to go out and put a little seed on the ground and you're going to shoot the monster of the Midway, the only person you're fooling is yourself. Number one, that can go south on you because you don't get the timely rains. And number two, where's the hunt at? You don't want to get so engrossed in food plots that, because what are you going to do when you go hunt moose, caribou, elk, or anything like that? You're not going to have any hunting skills at all because you didn't hone them with your white-tailed deer hunting. Fred Bear said if you could hunt white-tailed deer successfully year in and year out, that you could hunt any big game animal in North America from the white-tailed deer lessons that you learned how to hunt them. But you're going to put yourself up a creek if you think all you're going to do is go out and put a dope pile or a food plot in and hunt over that and somehow imagine that you're going to kill the biggest buck in the county, because you're dumbing yourself down each time you do that. These food plots, as Ray Scott said, he didn't realize back in 1988 what he was going to do, the founder of Whitetail Institute products. But people now are planting food plots like myself just for the joy of growing the food plot and putting seed into the ground. And as we walk in here, we got the weeds under control, and the corn's higher than my head. As I walk down through here, we did proper tillage, and like I said, there's the corn that's up above my head. But that's what food plots are about. If your number one goal in planting food plots is just to kill something, boy, you're going to come up short, and you're going to really be a miserable person. Right now, my trophy is what you're seeing slapping me in the face. 6 foot tall corn on the first day of July, basically weed free. And you can do that, each and every one of you that are watching this video. Just don't let yourself get dumbed down and want to plant food plots solely to kill something. You already grew something. There's people in this world that will give their right arm to be able to have beans that tall and corn that tall. That would be their substance. So if you can do that, that's your reward. It's not anything to do with the so-called puke word, kill plot. Well, that was a little tour of the corn and beans, 60 days from basically May 1st to July 1st. But just keep in mind, have fun planting food plots. Just don't get off on that you have to kill something in return. Because your biggest reward is if you tilled the dirt and you grew something. Well, that's it. Y'all have a happy 4th, and next time we'll be out here in the field seeing how the tasseling goes. But remember, perennials, number one, annuals are a question every year you plant them. Because if you don't get the rains and the timely rains and stay ahead of the weeds, well, you can get miserable results. That's it. Happy 4th of July. Keep America free. Always a reason to take a camera. You never know what you're going to see. About 2:30, July 1st, 2020.